Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. It's Kiki, and today I am here with my fall kit that I created with the ladies that are in the YouTube hop for the love of crafting and sharing. And so I thought I would show you some of the things that I'm going to choose for this particular layout. I'm selecting a variety of things that were in the kit that I know that I'm definitely going to use. I definitely like the little words. I love the journaling tag. There's a couple of journaling tags. And then I'm going to see if I can get this, that alpha used. So I have quite a few photos here from a fall trip that my husband and I took to Oregon, to the coast with his family. And in my kit, I have some cream or linen papers. So I was originally thinking like maybe the linen would work really well with those photos because it's close to the sand color. And so I kind of took some of them out. I'm not going to use the ones by Finnabair for this particular collection. So I left the cream paper there, and then I realized, yes, I had a craft paper. So I'm going to use craft for this instead, but I will have use for that cream paper, as you'll see in a minute. So what I'm going to do first, I really love these papers. So these are from Simple Stories, and I just wanted to show you some of the papers that I'm going to try to incorporate into this layout. Of course, there's a full alpha, or 4 alphas actually, in this particular sticker sheet, so I really want to see if I can use that. I really like this little floral, and it's really cute, but I want to see if I can use it. You know, they're family photos, and I think, you know, it'll be kind of cute, but we'll see. It does end up being used, but not the way that I thought it would be. So I wanted to keep a couple of photos that I was going to use as a focus. And the others I think are going to be kind of sized down to get rid of the bulk of the photo that just isn't the focal point. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my die cutting machine. And I'm going to use a die cut that I got. So this is my Sizzix Big Kick, and I'm going to use a stitched hexagon that is available from Close to My Heart. I'll link it down below in the description box if you're interested in it. And I'm going to cut these photos in a variety of sizes. So how I do it is I generally line up the die over the photo like this, and then put it down on the first platform. And so I've got it this way for a second, just so I can show you exactly how I would do this. So I'll size it up, make sure, I want to make sure that the edges of the photo are going to be part of the final product. So let me just turn this around and I will run it through the Sizzix for you. And I run it through twice, so I run it through once and then I run it through again on the back side. And for the most part, I got the photos the way I wanted them, and I decided to do all of them in the hexagon and then just play around with the layout of the photos. Now they're not all the same size. 4 of them are the same size, and then the one of me on the beach with the waves is a size smaller, and then I have a smaller photo for my husband and his dad. So I'm just playing around with the placement of these, and I want them to be, I don't want them to sort of create this perfect layout. Like, I don't want them to be all in line perfectly. But I do want this photo of my husband and his parents to be like really a focus photo. So playing around with the placement of them was really kind of a little tricky at first. And so I'm playing around with it. I'm thinking about putting maybe the 4 larger photos on the right hand side of the page somehow, and then doing the smaller photos together in a little cluster on the top. But in the end, I really don't like how that sort of looks, because it's not allowing me a lot of room for me to put my title on the page in one long title. Not that that's really a problem, but it was just, the placement was just throwing me off. So I thought, okay, well, what if I do 3 vertical like this? And I really liked the placement of that. I really liked how that was going to work. I liked having the photo, as I said, the photo of my husband and his parents being more of the focus on the left-hand side. And I think I'm going to go with this style, but you'll see I'm going to change it up a little bit. But in the meantime, What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding, going to be looking at the page and thinking, how do I want to use the papers now? Because the trouble with cutting your photos into a particular shape is that you want to make sure that your papers are not going to take away from that detail of the photos or clash with them either. So, if you had like your photos all cut into circles and then you decided to use like a background that was full of stars or something like that, it might look kind of odd to you because it's not kind of what you expected. So I wanted to go with something that was going to be more simple for creating a background that was interesting, but something that wouldn't take away from the fact that I had cut these into hexagons. And I didn't want the craft paper being the whole background either. So I really liked, as soon as I put these photos on top of the yellow paper, I really liked how the photos just popped. It brought life to these photos, and it lightened up the page. So I'm going to use this yellow paper, and I cannot for the life of me remember where it came from, but I'm going to use the yellow background, and I'm going to cut it rather wide and just distress the edges. So I think I cut it at 5.5 inches. And what I did is I'm going to distress the edges of them just because I don't like everything, all of my papers to look perfect. And you know me, everything has to be sort of perfectly imperfect. I really do love a distress look. So I'm just going to run this distressor down the edges of the paper, just lightly, because once you distress something, you want to go light first and then distress it more once you see how you're using it, rather than go like overboard. Because if you distress it, really badly, and then it's not where you wanted it to be, or you weren't expecting it, like you could just be ruining your paper. So I like to go light on the distress at first until I know where I'm going to put it. So I distressed up the papers a bit, and then that's the back side. I'm going to use just my tape runner for this to get this onto the page. It's been a while since I've used my tape runner, believe me. I'm still not crazy about it. I still prefer smaller tape runners because I find it rather heavy in my hand. And I've been getting kind of golfer's elbow and tennis elbow lately. So, but it is easier in terms of putting the papers down. So I put that down, and then I had this light floral, the really tiny one. And I thought that would look really cute, kind of tucked underneath. So I cut about 1.5 inches of it, and 1.5 inches or 2 inches. And so I distressed the edges again lightly, and I'm going to tuck that underneath the yellow. And the nice thing is that because the yellow print is like this really tiny floral print, and then this other one that's more bright with the colors is a larger print than that, they don't clash. Also, the reason they don't clash is that the yellow is not really in the other paper, but there's kind of like an orangey flower there. So I just thought it kind of looked cute tucked under there. So now I'm just going to rub the edges a bit and distress them a bit more, rough them up a bit. And that really, I really like how that looks. And then if it's not distressed enough, I'll just run my distressing tool again on them. And I just really like how that just kind of gives the page a little bit of dimension, and it makes it look a little bit more weathered, I think. So now I'm going to play around again with putting the photos down, and then I realize, okay, so putting that floral paper cut off the size of the craft. And so now I wasn't quite sure how I was going to play around with the photo placement again. So I decided I'm going to distress the papers a little bit more so that maybe I can tuck things under. And the first thing I'm going to do is work on the placement, I think, of the papers, or the hexagon photos that are going to go on the sides. So I decided that because the one of my husband and his family are going to be the focus point, I wanted to pop that photo up. So I'm just going to use some foam tape and get that onto the photo. And then I'm going to pop that up onto the page. And then you'll see me goof up with this particular photo a couple times. So I thought I was putting it in the center, and I, didn't pull out my, I didn't pull out my ruler because I was feeling kind of lazy, I'll be honest. And so I took off all of the backings, and then I just put the paper down, a photo down, and I wasn't paying attention to the fact that there needs to be a photo up top, so I didn't leave enough room for the photo at the top. So I realized this pretty quickly, and so I pulled it up again. And then I thought, okay, how am I going to get this to where I want it centered? And so I centered it a little bit. I tried it a little bit again, and it was like, okay, so that I'm close. Pull it up again. So, you know what they say about measure twice, cut once. So I apparently decided to do this a few times. Then when I finally got it in about the center, then I realized the photo's a little bit crooked, so I'll fix that later. But the other photos in the meantime are basically going to be bordering the top and the bottom, so I decided to use the tape runner for those and just do those. And because they're bordering the top and whatever, it was really easy to sort of line them up straight. And then I realized like the center one was off by a bit, so I adjusted it a tiny bit. But I really love these photos. They are in and around Lincoln City. And a couple of the photos are taken at the beach at Moe's, that's on the water, and we had a really nice time, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun making this layout too, so that's kind of a good thing. Brought back all those memories. If you're enjoying this, by the way, and you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do, and that way you'll be notified when you click the notification bell of all the future videos that I'm going to do with the rest of this kit, and you'll see other techniques that I'm using in the future. So and I'd love to hear comments below too if you've used any type of photo treatment the way I have with either a die cut, or maybe you've used like a silhouette machine to cut your photo a certain way. So let me know that in the comments below if you've used one, and if you haven't, do you want to try that in the future and maybe have like a tutorial on different photo treatments that you can do. So I decide I'm going to put my husband in the photo near my solo photo on the right hand side, and it was kind of tricky because the other photo of me on the beach is, I wanted to play around with it to see if I would put that closer to my other photo, and then they were just too close, and so yeah. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna pop it up on the end there because it's going to be sitting on the other piece of paper. So I wanted it to have a bit of dimension there, but I only put a little bit of glue on it because I do want to be able to tuck things under there later as part of my clusters, and so that's what I've done there. And then I was playing around with the positioning of these small two photos. So again, I kind of like where it is there with my photo, but I did kind of like the idea of trying to keep them separate from the others again, but again it wasn't working because the photo was sitting across the paper and then the craft, and it wasn't really working out for me. I thought I could do it, maybe put them closer to the top, and then the whole page became linear, and I definitely didn't want to do that. So I'm just kind of fussing around with the photos. One thing that I like and that I learned when designing is that your eye likes unevenness. Your brain does, I should say. So when you see things in uneven numbers or asymmetrical designs, your eye is more drawn to that. So I knew that I didn't want it to be sort of everything all parallel. I wanted them to be sort of set apart. And so in the end, I keep playing around with it. And then I realized, okay, I really like that photo of me there next to my husband, so that he's kind of sandwiched between my other two photos. But it was this little photo that I was kind of playing with, like, where do I put that little guy? So then I figured out that if I put my photo closer to my husband, you'll see I'm trying every kind of connotation. This is the only thing about hexagon photos, is that, you know, if you're going to go with that style, they have to fit with each other. So you should have a better idea of where you're going to put your photos before you actually do the die cutting. But it does end up making like a really interesting looking photo. Like I really enjoyed looking at the hexagon, and they've got this kind of faux stitching around the edges. But I know for sure that I like the picture of myself there next to my husband. And then when I fit his photo of his dad, just hanging off the photo a little bit, I really liked the way that all fell together. To me, that felt like, okay, it works. I'm going to stick with it. So I decided to pop up my photo up a bit, just on two ends, because I wanted to be able to leave some room for tucking things under for embellishment clusters if I wanted to do something there. And then even though my husband and his dad, the photo kind of leans off the page a little bit, I just cut it off the edge. That's fine. I'm really pretty happy with where the photos are at this point. So, and then it's also left me room at the bottom for a nice title, and then a couple of areas for a couple of nice clusters. So, and it's given me area too for my journaling and things like that. So what I did here is I pulled out my letter box, my letters from that box, and I didn't have another L. So I found an I that would work, and I kind of, you know, got them on all wonky. Then I was thinking about using the sticker alpha because I wanted it to say fall on the coast. And the sticker alpha, if you've worked with Simple Stories before, number one, their letters don't stick really well. I love Simple Stories, don't get me wrong, but you really should re-glue their letters. And so I found out I had like a full alpha, so I knew I could do my whole title. So I glued down the word fall first of all, and I'm sorry that the bottom of the page is kind of cut off. I'm working with a new setup finally for my videoing, so hopefully in the future everything's going to be a lot better. So I just kind of made it a little bit wonky. It's kind of, you know, up and down and all over the place, but I kind of like how that looks because it makes the L still look like an L. And then what I decided to do was to use the letter alphabet from Simple Stories, and I put it on cream cardstock. This was a trick that I got from Missy Wyden, and put it on cream cardstock and then fussy cut it out. And then that way the red lettering on the coast actually stands out against the patterned paper. And so I really like how that turned out. And then it's all the fun, the time to play with the embellishments. Well, you know me, I like my tags, especially the burlap ones. So I decided I was going to create a cluster right near the focus photo because I did want to draw the eye there. And then I'm going to put on some wood veneers and a few other things. So we've got some wooden cameras. These are from Prima Marketing from a long time ago. So I'm just going to do some small clusters. And with this kit, I did select quite a few flat items. I did pull out, like you see on the right hand side there, I did pull out those DIY Simple Stories canvas tags, or canvas stickers, really they are. And so I know I'm going to use those. Now you'll remember that this piece here that I'm putting down right now is the one of the word pieces that says remember this moment, but it was attached to like a frame, and I thought I'd use it as like a journaling spot, but in the end I decided to use it as for an embellishment cluster down there. So I've got these DIY stickers with the canvas or burlap or whatever. So then I decided I'm going to use it for a little cluster in the top left corner. And I love these word stickers. I haven't used enough of them, so I really did want to use them. So I took one that was a long one and I cut it in half so that it would fit my cluster a little bit better. And then I thought it would be really cute to layer a wood heart on top of the canvas heart, so that's what I decided to do there. And you'll see that I've got that Love This cabochon because the yellow, I find having the yellow on that side really kind of ties in the yellow that's on the right. So I really kind of liked that. So all of these word stickers, I'm going to use quite a few of them and put them around the page. The one that's going on the tag, I did decide to put a little bit of glue on it because I didn't want it pulling off the tag by accident. And a lot of these stickers will work really well on paper, but not on fabric. So I did use a little glue on there. So as I said, here's that cabochon, and I'm trying to figure out like where I want it. And I kind of like it there up above me, but then it's got these arrows and it says Love This. And I was like, well, what is it really pointing to? So, yeah, so I put it off underneath my photo because I do really like that photo of my husband. So then I pulled out the jelly bean soup, and I have this tag, Remember This. So I love that. So I wanted to put that on the page. And so I've layered that over the two papers. Going to grab some more of these little cream colored word stickers. So Family is Forever. I stuck between the two family photos. I thought that was pretty nice. I'm going to grab some more. The ones that are the tiny text from Cosmo Cricket are more about creativity and art. And so there weren't a lot of them that I felt kind of went with this feeling of the layout. But a couple of them still did. Like they really, you know, there's one that I've got on here that's Wonder, and then Just Breathe. And I thought that worked really well. So I've got those ones on there. Then I pulled out the Prima bubbles. So these are, they're called Pebbles. These are from many years ago. They don't make them anymore, but I had so many of them. And they had all these different brown and yellow colors on them. So I decided to put a couple of those down. And I put 3 down so that there was sort of an uneven number. And it kind of created like a visual triangle with the bubbles. So I end up putting 3 down, and to bring focus to from one cluster to across the page to down to another. I loved working with this kit again. It was funny because when I pulled everything out, I was like really challenged about how was I going to use this with beach photos. And even though it's a fall kit, but the thing is that fall is not always what we expect it to be. It's not what we always think of with leaves turning red and orange and yellows and, you know, apple picking and all that kind of thing. This was fall in Oregon on the coast, and everything was still green and everything was still bright and blues and sandy colors. And so I really wanted to use these photos to kind of document the fact that we went somewhere in the fall where it wasn't you know, what you would expect from a fall photo or from a fall vacation. All the fall vacations we'd taken previously had been, well, not really vacations, but, you know, weekend trips and things. They had all been where there's like lots of maple leaves and oak leaves, and they're turning all kinds of colors of reds and oranges. And I wanted to document this particular photo shoot, that all of these photos, that this is fall, even though it's not your typical, what you would think of a typical fall layout or fall photos. But I did like this kit particularly because it does use like the teals and the reds and the greens and things. But the blue sky, there's so much blue sky and the blue waves and everything, and with the browns, I thought it would still work really well. So I'm writing my journaling and just getting that down onto the page, because for once I'm going to journal on this. And normally I tuck my journaling out of the way, but for this particular one, I decide to keep it out front and and in the spotlight kind of thing, because it really does sort of tell the story of what these photos are, and when they were taken, because, you know, other than us wearing jackets and things, you wouldn't know if it was the summer, if it was the spring. So I wanted to make sure that the word fall memories showed up. I thought about tucking it under there, and then I decided not to, but it's just a little too long, so I'm just going to tear off the edge, the bottom, and just get that onto the page. And then I'm just going to glue it down and curl up the edges there a little bit. I really enjoyed the Oregon coast. It's just, I've been there in the spring, I've been there in the summer, and I have been there now in the fall, and it is just such a beautiful place, and we had so much fun with our family there, so I wanted to get this layout right. So there's my journaling, and I'm going to look at some of the other embellishments that I have. So I have some of these other little wood veneers, so I decided I want the little hearts to stick out from underneath that piece of paper that's folded. And I'm just going to start adding like little touches. And close to my heart had these little stickers that are made of cork, the Grateful Heart cork shapes. And I thought I would use those instead of enamel dots on the page. So I made sure to pull those out of the kit. And then I realized, well, whoa, wait a minute. I wanted to use all these Simple Story stickers, so I better get some of them onto the page. So I decided to put a lot of the Simple Story stickers, excuse me, onto the page. Since it was October, I put that onto the journaling. And then I just chose a bunch of photos or stickers that are like the word family and fall fun and live, laugh, love. We had a lot of laughs that weekend. It was hilarious. Talking about some of my old family memories and things that I've been through, and we went through some really kind of crazy times. So we ended up having a good laugh talking about it all. So I'm just putting down more of these little words. There are some really tiny little word stickers on that sheet. So I decided to use them as well, because there's still a cream background with like a typewriter. So they still went. I love how they all sort of work together. All of these little words, the little word stickers, they ended up being exactly what I needed. And I put home sweet home because my husband being from Oregon. So I thought he'd enjoy that. Yeah, there's so many. And then the word family. Their families all like scattered all over on this layout. There's 3 stickers that I can count with that have the word family in them, so I really wanted to have that on there. And then I'm going to put down some of these little cork leaves and things, like they're enamel dots instead of enamel dots. Kind of goes without saying, right? I don't know, they made the layout to me. They just the little leaves are so adorable, and they've got, like, you can actually see in the close-ups, you'll see that they've got the little veins for the leaves on the cork, and they're just really kind of sweet. So I added those onto the page in different areas just to add a little something extra. And rather than putting down some enamel dots, but you'll see I don't stop there, because if you know my layouts and how I like to do things with mixed media, then you'll know that I was not happy with just having that plain craft paper on the side. So once I'm all done with these particular little cork pieces, I go straight for my Heidi Swap color shine spray in gold, and I want to put that onto the page, splatter some onto the craft, just to spice it up a little, and just add a little bit more sort of yellow to tie in all of the yellow around the page. So I just scattered a little bit here and there, and I just lightly touch it. to the page. Give it another shake to get more of the gold up, and then add a little bit more. And that way I'm not getting anything on my photos too, if I just do like a light tap to the lid there, and then that gets some of the gold onto the page. So I was pretty happy with that. I really liked how it turned out, and I'm just going to roll off some of the excess water because I wanted to show you the final product up close. So I really hope that you enjoyed this. There's some close-ups coming up so you can see some of the details. And if you enjoyed this layout, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified of my future videos, and share it with your friends. And let me know in the comments too what you enjoyed most about the layout. So thanks again for being here. I hope you have a very safe, lovely weekend, and have a fabulous time scrapbooking your fall memories too.